right, so we're live. We're live, everyone. Thank you guys so much for checking in on Mr. Anthony Massaro.
What's up?
Oh, I got a little back. Yeah. So this cat right here is like a good friend. Love this dude. He actually, if we go take the Wayback Machine, right? We're talking 2011, right? 2011.
Yeah,
easily. Are you doing Facebook stuff?
Trying to share.
You trying to log on the internet? All right, so anyway, Anthony, I'll talk while he's doing his computer stuff. So Anthony helped me build the sound and the stage and the lighting. Him and his buddy and a really, really good friend that actually did stage and lighting in Hollywood and shit like that, right? And they literally crawled up into this drop ceiling. Believe it or not, this bank is so cool. Remember how thick the concrete is in this building?
Yeah, massive.
It's like insane. There's all steel, and this is literally a drop ceiling. So like the drop ceiling's made of concrete. So there's like metal rods that screw into the roof, and then there's a complete atrium. It's badass. It's really badass up there. So anyway, Anthony's a very few guys that have actually been up there. You know what sucks, Anthony, is that like this building's an old bank, and it's got a vault, and it's got like the walls are like literally 3 feet deep, and this is the pandemic we're in. Like, why couldn't it be like a gigantic hurricane or or something huge, and then we can actually like hang out here and drink beer all together and like protect ourselves? This is like the coronavirus is the one pandemic where we can't hang out here.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It might get in.
Yeah. So, but anyway, are you good? Are you logged on?
I'm still working it. Keep working your magic.
Working. All right. So anyway, I want to just say thank you to everybody. I'm going to thank Andrew and Maddie. They're out there. They're our producer and our sound guy where they're doing that very much. And I want to thank Paul again. Paul Balger, which is a good friend of Anthony's as well. And that's why we brought you up. So we said, hey, let's get you some music time. So this kid, Anthony right here, he is the fucking best. He can play like literally old school rock. And then go to R. Kelly. You might have to do some R. Kelly tonight.
Bam. Did it. Shared it.
You got it? All right. So tell us about it. What's going on in your life?
Nothing much, man. Same as everybody else, you know. I'm sitting at home, and...
You got 3 kids now?
I'm rocking my 3 kids.
Wow.
We got a cat. We got a cat. Cat pisses on my bed. His name is Sprite. And I'm just doing a thing that we all do, man. I have a putting green in my backyard.
Okay.
So I can putt, at least. And I can play the guitar. And I have been writing a lot of tunes, and I've been recording, and yeah, that's about it.
Good. Well,
raising kids.
Well, speaking of a guitar and writing tunes, I say, hey, bring your guitar, and you bring that thing. Explain what this thing is.
Yeah, this is... I don't want to sell this brand until I'm totally endorsed by them. Water first.
You're gonna show everybody first.
In fact, maybe Andy, if you got a little piece of tape, I can tape over that.
Hey, Maddie, fog it out. Use the fog editing. Edit the fog.
This is a great little guitar. It's a total cheapie, but it's my fave, and it's the one I play all the time. And I can drag it along on airplanes, and I can drag it along. To things like this.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds good, and I write tunes on it, and I play songs on it, and I wish I can bring this out and gig with it every day, because it's like a harmonica,
Right.
Super light.
Super light and easy?
Yeah. And I'm not getting any younger, and I would love to just walk up and plug in.
And play.
Yeah.
Dude, then do it. Let's hear one. Let's go.
I can't plug in and play.
Well, you can't play. Well, you can play anyway.
But you can hear, hear.
We got a mic on it. What do you got for us?
This is my guitar, you all should buy this guitar, but only if I'm endorsed by this guitar's brand. Ooh. This is my little guitar, you all should buy one, and the company who sells them should sell me one for free every day of my life. I would show them off in streams like these. And I would play this guitar, and I would mention the brand name. And there wouldn't be any question about which kind of small guitar I was playing, because it would be the brand that I would say, kind of like the brand that might just move because we just got a note from the Apple company, and they're like, hey, are you going to mention our name? And I'm like, I kind of just did, but I did in a very subtle way. And some sort of alternate song about another brand I was trying to sing about, but I was also trying to remember that I was trying to get paid by this company, especially in a time as a musician where I'm making absolutely zero money. And I am not getting my checks from the government. But I'm not going to make this a political rant because I'm absolutely not a political man, not whatsoever. I really don't give a care about much of anything at all. But this is the guitar you should be playing. Because it sounds like what key I was in? Something like that.
No, that I asked for that. I did ask for it.
You did.
I did, so I got it.
That was one I wrote a couple years ago, actually.
Oh, that was fantastic. I love it. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Cheers to you, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, no, Anthony's been playing on the stage for a while now. We've been jamming a bunch of tunes. Actually, you play a lot. All right, so here's the okay, question for you. Besides Evenflow, where's one of the favorite places you play at? And it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be in Illinois. It can be anywhere. Where was like one of your favorite gigs? Of course, besides Evenflow, obviously.
That is an easy answer. There is a place called Hearts on the south side of Chicago, and it is just a little dive bar of a place. And I believe it used to be a brothel. That was the rumor.
What's the address?
The address is actually 98, like 50
right.
something.
Andrew, write this down.
Hearts, Hartes. That's good bar-to-bar promotion right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's a brothel, I mean, you said used to be.
Used to.
Oh, damn it.
What's the address?
Damn it. Used to be.
Yeah, it's a little dive bar, and it's great. It gets packed up with people, and they love live music, and it's totally not. It's like a barn. It's a small. It's more of a shed actually. It's just a wooden building, no sign, no nothing.
Right.
Totally old school looking. It looks like hell. Yeah, but we pack people in there, and people are dancing, and there's a little side yard that people hang out in, and it's just off.
That
the
sounds like
path.
Mrs. Kitty's.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah.
In its
like
own like south side of Chicago sort of way, because
Cool.
the south side is very specifically its own place. I think
Yes.
most people would recognize if you're from any part of Illinois or Chicago. But yeah, it's
And that's another thing. You used to grind too, because you're a South Sider. You live in the South.
Totally.
Totally. And you used to drive way the fuck up here like all the time.
Yeah.
You used to do sound. So Anthony was the first guy to do sound. Dude, how stupid. Okay, this is how stupid I was. I told Anthony he got this really nice board, this badass board that back in the 80s was the shit board. What was it again?
It was a Soundcraft
8500?
like 8-something B.
I mean, this in the 80s, this was the fucking cat's me out, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It came from Gary Jerkadis, who's an amazing sound guy. Shout out to him.
Shout out.
He actually gave that board so much love and tender care, like it matters to most on Facebook. But yeah, I had to at least give him a shout out because he's probably
No,
watching.
that's what we do. We give shout outs to people now because
Yeah.
of the things they did. Well, that's why I'm giving you a big shout out. So I was a freaking idiot, and they all told me. They said, Mike, you're an idiot, but I didn't listen because I'm hard-headed, and it was my bar, and I wanted to fucking put it where I wanted to put it. So above me, I know you can't see it right now, but over here, there's a huge, awesome, like area where the guy that used to be the security guard, so like you could come in and rob the bank, but in order to get out, there's only one door. It was a front door. So a guy would stand up there with a rifle, and if you can get past him, then you got the money, but he'd shoot you dead, right? So I said, let's go put the soundboard up there, right? But Anthony, what did you say? The sound guy needs to be where?
He needs to be packing a gun. I was like, dude, well, obviously he needs to have a gun because that's what they used to have.
Right.
And it was supposed to be on the other side of the bar because it made the most sense. And if anybody who has an imagination and is totally bored tonight could get into this story, but there's a ladder that this guy would have to go up and work in Mike's place, and that probably wasn't...
OSHA safe.
OSHA was not going to approve that. You know?
No. And most sound guys that I know, including yourself, like to have a couple of drinks while they're working.
Right. I thought you were going to say are heavy set and lose their footing on the ladder once in a while.
No, not a good idea. No, it was not OSHA. It was a really, really bad, terrible idea in so many ways. But at the time, 9 years ago, I was far stupider.
No, you were. It was perfect.
Far.
It was perfect, man. Because this place is so unique. Those of you who have not been here, Evenflown is an old bank, a really old bank from when?
1919.
1919, right? And they have music here, and Mike has totally made this place into a live concert venue because you love music.
I do.
And that's the coolest thing ever. So this place actually has a very cool vibe, but the sound is also very kind of spacious and cool, which kind of adds to its kind of charm, I think. And so you were in your infancy, yes. But the place was so damn cool. I don't think it really mattered where you put the soundboard. You're like, dude, I'm in a bank. This is sweet. Even as a sound guy.
Yeah. No, it was the most important thing is where do I put my liquor so I can sell it? That was the most important thing.
Where exactly?
Yeah, where can that be? That's number one.
Right.
Right. And then the sound came next, which I wish once again, what I know now, right? Like I said, if I could take a time machine back, right? If I could take a time machine back, of course I want to meet, Isaac Newton, and but I go back 9 years and just slap myself like a bitch slap myself in the face. Like, what the hell? What were you thinking? But now we got this awesome place. It's rocking and rolling. I got great people working here, and we will open the doors again, right, Antoine?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. The doors will open, and you guys definitely should make the trek out here. I'm sure that most of you guys actually live in Geneva. If you're the right sort of person that I'm thinking of, Mike is target audiencing tonight, and I'm sure he's got his Facebook ads all in line for the Geneva area to make sure that they know that this place is sweet and actually has some really good live music.
So you were talking about stop right there because you were talking about the Facebook. Facebook did something different on live streaming now that's unique.
Yes, and I can say this because I'm not an expert at all, and Mark Zuckerberg will not come after me. I promise you on this. So I can say this with zero knowledge and my total naive thinking is that originally you couldn't stream on your mobile, on your desktop. You had to do it on your phone or your iPad or whatever you have. I have a lot of Apple products. You know what I'm saying?
Apple.
So
get some free stuff. Apple, get some free stuff.
Like the brand of guitar I'm playing, I also wouldn't mind a specific endorsement from a computer company that has a fruit on it. You know what I mean? But yeah, you couldn't stream from your computer, as far as I remember, the computer camera. I'm pretty sure. Andy, can't hear Andy, but if you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Are we close? Are we kind of close? You're young. You know this stuff. You're a youngin'. He doesn't know anything. He's over there looking. He's blank staring at me right now. He doesn't know anything.
Okay.
Well, all right. So anyway, so what have you been? So okay. Besides writing music and hanging out with your kids, give me some other things. What's going on? So you have not. I'm sorry.
That takes up a lot of time.
I know.
It takes up a lot of time. The taking care of the kids takes up a lot of time, and the music takes up a lot of time. But I like to golf, so that takes up a little bit of time. And now that the golf course is open,
huge.
Can't wait to get out there.
That's huge, dude. Golf. Oh man,
love it.
Yeah, that's okay. So I'm gonna tell everybody how ignorant I am and how I used to talk so much shit about golf and didn't understand it. Hit the little white ball down, blah, 100 yards, little hole, blah blah blah. Usually lose the ball. I didn't care anything about it, but I went golfing with Anthony. Okay, and he taught me the zen of golf. And he was the one that explained to me that now I love golf. I'm addicted to it. I play as much as I can, as often as I can. But he's the one that taught me that it's the zen of golf. You don't play against anybody but yourself. And that was the craziest thing. I mean, literally, dude, you changed my. I really, really enjoy golf, and I thank you for that. And it's true too, because you don't really play anybody but yourself, and the zen of it is just amazing. How are you shooting right now?
Oh, not good. Not shooting real good right now. And I'm going to chalk that up to, just starting off the season right now.
Right.
But, yeah, I'm not shooting good, but I don't even care because I'm out there. And
it's the hardest game in the world.
Yeah. And I do have a little bit of a funny story. And if he's watching right now, I love you. I do. There is a gentleman out in San Francisco, and his name is John Erickson. John Erickson was a golf professional, a touring pro in the 1980s through the 1990s, and he won a couple tournaments. And he played on the Canadian tour and the Australian tour, and he won a couple tournaments. And he was said to be one of the last players to play with persimmon wood and irons, blade irons, like a blade-style iron. And this guy gave up golf once they changed the technology. He was like, I'm out. I like the old school thing. I like the art of the game. I like the curving of the ball and all these cool, not a distance game. It's more of a, you're shaping the ball. You're kind of playing around the trees and you're doing cool stuff. And so he kind of abandoned the game, but he started this website. It's called advancedballstriking.com. That's one I don't need to get paid for the endorsement. However, if you want to give me some free information, I'll take it, John, if you're out there. But advancedballstriking.com, I mean, honestly, even if you're not really into golf, it's probably going to be a hard read for you then, honestly, will. But, however, this guy is he's so knowledgeable on the golf game, but he teaches the old game. And so he teaches with wood, persimmon wood heads with really stiff shafts and old blade irons from the 50s.
Bagger Vance shit?
Like Bagger Vance shit.
Crazy.
And so I got into this guy's website somehow through other people on the PGA Tour. They were kind of like, well, I'm kind of into this, and this led to this, and this person led to this. And then at the core of it was this guy, almost like the Wizard of Oz, like the man behind the curtain was playing these really crappy clubs. And so I sought this guy out on his website, and I sought out the information that he was teaching, and I went and saw him in San Francisco a couple times while I was traveling. And he was a super personable guy, and he came out, and I'm like looking for his address out in like the hills, in like a suburb sort of area outside of, what is it? The same area of Vallejo, the killer. What's the killer from San Francisco? Zodiac Killer.
Oh, Zodiac Killer.
Zodiac Killer. Yeah. He lives in that area. Whatever. So I go out and see this guy, and he's got like this old car and 1,000 golf clubs in his garage, like just thousands lined up on this.
You sought him out?
Yeah, he was like working on his car or something like that. I'm like, John? He's like, oh yeah, hey. And I was kind of taken back because the guy was a little older than I thought he was going to be, but not that old. He just kind of was older than his older picture on the website or whatever. So he comes out and he greets me. Long story short, we go in his backyard and he takes out this 1-iron and he's teaching me these moves that are very methodical and almost ninjaic, if you will. And he was hitting these 1-irons from the 50s and just peering the shots off his deck into a valley. And he was hitting this tree that was maybe 215 yards out there. And there was a wind coming off of the bay, and he'd hit it right to left, right into the center of the tree. Then he'd hit another one, left to right, center of the tree. Then he'd hit a low liner, center of the tree. I've never seen anything like that before in my life, man. It was like watching a magician, I mean, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
You're hitting golf balls into, a telephone pole from 200 yards away over and over again. It was absolutely mind-blowing. So long story short, I love the game for its history, now because of this guy. And I also love the art of the way he plays. And I believe now the way he teaches is very similar to the way I think about the guitar,
Oh, explain that.
Yeah. It's interesting because, once you realize that someone has a very deep connection to their art form like this guy does, John, he really does. He's amazing. You can learn so much about the learning process almost, Like you can see the way this guy breaks it down. And the way he breaks it down for anybody who's into, increasing, the way they learn and how fast they can learn. This guy, I believe, can teach you a lot about that. But the way he teaches the golf swing is in 5 parts, generally. And he starts with the impact of hitting the golf ball. And he would take his golf club and he would just use 1-arm drills and he would just hit this bag with his 1 arm. And then he would go with his right arm and they'd do that one. That was one drill. And then the next drill was to squeeze your feet together while you hit the bag at the same time. And then the third was that he was going to, from the impact position, rip his club into the air. And he would do that while he was squeezing his feet together and hitting the bag, right? So he'd hit the bag and squeeze his feet together, then he'd rip this thing up into the air. And then he would teach you the backswing. He would say, you need to, bring the club up, then you come back down, hit the bag, squeeze your feet together, and raise the club up in the air. And you know what? I'll tell you what. You can see that this guy had learned so much about the golf swing that he was able to think about it differently. And the way I like to think about music is sort of similar in the way that I have gone to the depths that I could, my mental capacity will allow, which is not that great as, like there's dudes who are like mind-blowingly smart when it comes to music. I can't remember all that stuff, Mm-hmm. So I had to simplify it, and I had to learn a whole lot, and it sucked. But now I know that it really can be summarized. The majority of it can be summarized into like 3 things. And that's really powerful stuff. When you can learn the musical moves for the most part in 3 parts, it's a lot better than trying to, tackle 1,000 parts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Is that what? Now, Paul brought that up. Paul brought your philosophy on music up, and he tried to explain it, but he admitted that like I can't explain. Explain.
I saw him.
Yeah. We're talking about Paul Bulger.
Yeah,
everyone.
Paul Bulger, and he did say exactly what he was saying was exactly true. So, Paul, if you're out there, you're right. What you said was right, but let me generalize first, because even if this reaches one person, I'll tell you that the only way I think this thing will really take hold and make waves is if, like, music teachers or something were to get a hold of this information, and then they could teach it, and then through that process, people would inspire other people to learn it. And it's it's proving hard for me. This is a long preface. I apologize, but it's proving hard for me to difficult to kind of like put the information out there and hope that someone bites on it. You know what I mean? It's easier to take this process and teach it to somebody. However, okay, so what Paul said was he talked about music and having this scale. And there's a scale that all music in our Western European little world, which is a small world of music, but it's the stuff that we love. It's the rock and roll. It's the getting down sort of music that we love, soul music and jazz and blues, and it's all kind of the same. It all comes from this mother place, this mother scale. And it's only 7 notes, right? And from that scale, we kind of come up with different combinations of the scale to kind of create other things, and we give them names individually, but really they're just coming from this one place, this one scale, right? That's what all music is doing. And then, so when I told everybody, and Paul definitely took it right, were that there are 7 notes in that mother scale, but only 3 of them are really the most important ones, kind of, right? There is a scale that we pick our information from, and what they do is they make these beautiful chords. So when you hear something like that, right, and you hear it in a song, I think I'm gonna be sad. I think it's today. Yeah. This chord. This is a combination of the notes in that scale. So what they did was they took 3 of those notes, every other note, and they put them all together instead of playing it individually. So instead of just going, they played 3 of the same notes at the same time out of that scale, and that's called a triad. Blah, blah, blah. That is...
No, don't blah, blah, blah. What's it called?
It's called a triad.
Okay.
But what this is this is what we're used to hearing in those songs, right?
Right.
Beautiful song. Every song, lots of songs, not every song, but we hear this. This is the summary of the not the 7 notes, but there's 3 in that matter, right? So what they said was they made a chord. They called it a triad because it's made of 3 notes, 1, 3, and 5, let's say, of that scale. The 1st degree, the 3rd degree, and the 5th degree, meaning that if every note had a number, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and C was 1, and D was 2, and E was 3, and F was 4, you're just counting up to 7 before you repeat itself, then you'd have 3 notes, C, E, and G would be 1, 3, and 5. And 1, 3, 5 makes a chord, makes that beautiful chord you're used to hearing, right? So they figured out if you start combining these notes, you're going to get different sounds, right? So maybe if you took 2, 4, and 6, you'd get a different sound. And if you took, et cetera, et cetera. Well, they did all this. They did all that. But what was happening was in music, singers dominate music. Our voice kind of dominates music. And that's a whole theory I have together in that our voice is the driving motivator behind everything that we do. It's our thoughts. It's really the brain, really. That's what it is. It's the brain. We drive our voice to sing, and our voice happens to just know how to do it based upon what our ears tell us. Like, for example, when we were sitting here originally, and we were talking about, we were singing a song. We were going, oh, darling, right?
Please don't leave
And Mike, how much musical background do you have?
None. I'm terrible.
But you were able to put together that little geometric shape of a melody. You knew it just singing it because you heard it 1,000 times. You
Right.
go, oh, darling. You're like, please believe me. I mean, and I've studied a lot, but you sang it just fine. So it just goes to show you that you internally, your ears tell you that's a very simple thing, this melody, right? And so melodies drive music. And what we did behind the melodies where we were adding these chords, the chords that we were talking about, this, oh, darling. When you hear this, you hear the song. When you hear, oh, if you didn't, you would hear, oh, darling, please believe me. I mean, that could be like a Gregorian chant. That could be like some totally, non-relevant, like choral tune or something, Oh,
Right,
darling.
like a church song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like change the timbre and, it took like the coolness out of Paul McCartney and the cigarettes and the booze and whatever the hell.
You can't take the coolness out of Paul
You just
McCartney.
can't do that.
You can't do it. Go ahead.
You're right, because then you would have that. You'd be like, oh, darling, next, see you later, But that melody comes from that scale, and what they did was they dressed up these chords, and what I'm saying is inside of that scale and all these chords that surround this melody, if the melody only comes from one place like it usually does, when we sing, it's usually a natural place. We go, la, da, 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 or do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, di, do. That is a natural thing to do. We're not going all over the map. We're not going, la, 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 la. That's like a lot to internalize. We do this very simple move, and it's the major scale, right? And all our kind of melodies come from there. I think I'm gonna be sad. I think it's today. Right?
Right.
You hear it. You can kind of hear it in that. And so what I did was I figured out that, okay, well, if everything is sort of coming from this one scale, but they're playing all this other stuff underneath it, that must mean it has a relationship to that one scale, right?
Right.
Every chord that was happening underneath the melody must have had a relationship with the scale note because the scale wasn't changing. His voice, I think I'm gonna be sad. I think it's today, yeah. The girl that's driving me mad is going away. Right? That comes from this. That comes from a scale, a specific scale. It's actually, I think it'd be like the D scale, and if they're playing an A. But what I did was I decided, all right, well, I'm just going to find out what are the most important notes in that scale then, right? I'm going to find out which ones are the strongest. And I found out that of all those things, the first degree, the fourth degree, and the fifth degree of the major scale are very, very strong. They're so strong, they summarize all of music. Go figure. Yeah.
Einstein singularity.
It's the craziest thing. And it goes so far to the micro level. It goes beyond the simplicity of saying that, the blues are a 1-4-5 progression. And for musicians, they'll know what that means. For most people who don't know what that means, it is the most common musical thing you hear in music, which would be like, come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go to that same old place, sweet home Chicago? That, like, this whole thing is based upon this one. Come on, baby, Baby, don't you wanna go? Come on. Baby, don't you wanna go? So the beauty of it is that you got this melody that's doing this one thing, and then you got this thing underneath that, and this driving quarter note pulse is making it cool, you know? Come on. That's the cool part. Baby, don't you wanna go? Even if it wasn't the lyric, you know, it.
Chicago.
Yeah, and you can do it. You know, you can do that. So it tells you your voice is the motivator. It tells you that your voice actually is. What you need to do is, if you were to teach yourself how to play an instrument, what you should do is teach yourself to learn what your voice can do. Like if you can go, come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Your best bet is to try to teach yourself how to play that, because your voice is trying to tell your hands, dude, play what I'm singing. You know?
Cool.
Yeah. So this 1-4-5 thing happens to be a really special, important part of music that is the entire summary of music. So what Paul actually said was, he said, you know, what Anthony said was that each chord is 1-3-5 is made up of these 3 degrees, 1-3-5. And then you'd go to this other chord, and that had its own 1-3-5. And then the other chord had its own 1-3-5. And that's absolutely true. And if you think of the major scale as being the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord, and you eliminate 2 and 3 and 6 and 7, and you say, I'm going to make this song sound the way it should sound, but I'm only going to use 1, 4, and 5. I'm not going to use 2. I'm not going to use 3. I'm not going to use 6 or 7. I'm just going to try to make this song sound like the way it does with those 3 chords. You would find a way to do it. There is actually a way to do it. And you could do it like if I locked you in a prison, Mike. If I locked you in a prison cell and I gave you this guitar and I said, learn these 3 chords. And you're like, just these 3? I'm like, yes, Mike, just these 3.
Wow.
And so you learned them. And then I said, great. Now go figure out this song. You'd be like, what? And I'm like, well, dude, you got the rest of your life to figure it out. You would figure it out.
Wow.
If you only had those 3 chords to play, you could figure out the song you were playing in every way. All the notes in the melody would be contained within those 3 chords. All the chords that you hear, even if they don't quite sound like the chords you learned, you will find a way to make it work. And if
well, we were literally singing that Beatles song just to warm up everything, and then you just brought that song back with those 3 chords. Yeah. And I didn't ask you that earlier. That's crazy as shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy as shit.
Yeah. So if you are a music nerd, you know, you can private message me. For those who are not music nerds, who are just like kind of geeking out on their couch and they just watched The Last Dance last night, they're like, well, you know, that probably was not for you. However, maybe your niece or somebody is like studying the piano and she's going to be, you know, the next thing. Then, you know, then you can hit me up privately on Facebook.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. That's very cool. Thank you. Well, 3 is a magic number. Right?
3 is, man.
3 is a magic number.
3 is. And there kind of is like this. This is not a math thing, because I'm definitely not a math guy. I'm not like a geometry guy. Nothing crazy. I am really a very simple guy. I like to sit in front of a bonfire and like stare there and do nothing. When people ask me what are my aspirations in life, I'm like, I could do this all day. You know? But in music, there's really only 3 things, and that is kind of like hard to conceptualize. But there's really only 3 things that if you were to learn, you could probably figure it all out from there. You can figure it out. I mean, your ears will even tell you, well, this doesn't sound like the chord Anthony taught me.
Right.
Your ears will know because you've learned those 3 chords, so you're like, something is different. I've never heard this chord before, but Anthony said it's got to be related to the 3 chords I learned. It's a simple thing. You're going to take that chord and you're going to play it, and you're going to be like, something's not right. All right, let me try this chord. This kind of sounds like it could be it, but something is still different. And then you start changing 1 note at a time. Very simple. You just, whatever direction you want, whatever your ears tell you, start changing those notes. And what's going to end up happening is your ears, we're going to do a natural thing. They're going to go, yes. And it's a very simple process. You go, does this sound like this? And your ears will simply tell you yes or no. And if you're confused, guess what the answer is? Probably not. because you'll know, man. When you hear, I think I'm gonna be sad, you're like, I think
it's today.
Yeah. You know it. You just know that that's right. If I'm like, I think it's gonna be sad, you're like, what? Dude, what song are you singing?
Right.
You know, that's not it.
Right.
You just know immediately. I'm like, yeah, well, come on, dude. I was taking Welcome to the Jungle and I was mixing it out. Come on, everyone knows that. You know, you wouldn't know that.
No, that's insane. That's crazy. And this all came from, and this epiphany came from when you went and met, if you will, your golf hero?
No. This was just serendipitous. He and I were running in this parallel world. Ironically, this guy is a drummer as a hobby. Well, kind of. He kind of does it professionally now. But he's also a drummer as a hobby. So when I came out there, I told him what I did. He goes, no way. I play the drums. I love to play the drums. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He's like, I got a recording studio. You want to go see my recording studio? I'm like, yeah, let's go see your recording studio. So we abandoned the golf lesson, which was kind of like, I'm here to play golf, but you want to, you know, like, I'm like, oh, here we go, whatever. But we go into this guy's studio.
Dance monkey, dance.
And he built a studio, and he had this old record player in there and all his instruments, and then we got to talking, and he said, who do you like to listen to? I said, oh, everybody, you know, and I actually just said something. He goes, I have a ton of records, and we should listen to a record. Who do you like to listen to? And because I wanted to play golf in his yard and learn stuff, I was like, oh, Herbie Hancock. He's like, which Herbie Hancock album would you like to listen to? I'm like, I was hoping that he wouldn't have, you know, anything that I would, you know, was saying. He was like, I'm like, well, the Sextant album, you know? He's like, got it right here, Sextant. I'm like, He's like, which Sextant album? I'm like, oh, my God. So anyway, long story short, he had this album that I was picking, this obscure album, for the reasons that I didn't want him to actually find a record and we can go back outside and learn the golf swing.
Right.
We did this, and he made me listen to the entire record. I'm like,
You listened to Herbie Hancock?
Herbie Hancock. And then when one side was done, he flipped it over and we listened to the other side. It was like 45 minutes or however long the album was.
That's, hey, you walked yourself into that situation,
Yeah.
sir. You did.
But so, long story, I didn't necessarily learn from, what I learned from him was that I saw him summarize this whole thing, his whole golf swing. I saw him summarize it. I'm like, that is brilliant, man. And I had sort of been taught by this guy, Fried Hock, which actually, in this area, he's probably pretty popular.
Jazz legend,
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and he I think he's still at the Cal. And at the time, he was telling me, well, in jazz, you know...
Real quick, Fried Hock played with Sting, so you guys know. Like,
yeah, Fried Hock is...
Fried Hock is an awesome... He's played on the stage before, and
monster.
He's a teacher at Northern, right?
Yeah, Fried Hock is an absolute monster.
He's great. He's awesome.
Just an absolute musical genius in the way, traditionally, he's very... God, I wish I could think like that. So I can't, you know.
Yeah, no, he's a unique bird, though. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, no doubt. And just very highly motivated.
Yeah.
And so what he told me was that, and this is a pretty common thing in jazz music, was that you focus on the third and the seventh. And everything you do, you can kind of eliminate all the other notes in the scale if you just focus on the third and the seventh. And you start focusing on that in your solos and in your chord comping. And you're going to start to connect everything together, because the third and the seventh on the guitar neck are very close together. They're very close together. So they make these real small movements, right? And It's very easy to make that move because they're so close. On the guitar, you know, you're like, I don't have to move that far. My fingers are doing this easy thing.
Right.
And so I did that, and sure enough, it absolutely helped me understand the way, you know, to kind of internalize the core of the music harmony. I'm like, oh, okay, great. There's a summary, right? And then I even simplified it even further. I'm like, well, 7, and if you put a number 7 on the scale, that means that there's 4 notes in the chord. That's too many. If I do 3, you can actually do a 2 and even 1 once you even get further into it. But right, there's, you know, you can really get it down. You can really analyze it.
But 3 is the magic number. It really is.
3 is the magic number, especially to our ears of music.
Right.
For anybody who is like, you know, who listens to any sort of music at all, you hear 3 everywhere. You hear it in the harmonies, and people are like singing, you know, you hear it. You just hear 3. That's 3 notes. You hear that all the time, you know. That's 3 notes. If I leave here tomorrow. 3 notes at a time. Did you still remember me?
So when they go into, so when that goes like So when they go like, is that still in the threes?
Absolutely. So what you're hearing there is the most important part of music. That is like our internal. That's our internal driver. It's the melody.
The melody. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's why you're like, the part where they go. You can do that with your voice. Like instantly, you probably could now join Leonard Skinner. As
yeah. No. Leonard Skinner, fucking A. They're the best. They're the best. No, yeah, dude. So three, it's in the music. It comes a lot. So like, I watched this interview with Paul McCartney once that said the most amazing thing. He says you need three things to be in a band. He says if you get two of the three, you're happy. If you get all three, you're super happy, and you can't exist, which is one. He says you gotta like the music you play, right? You gotta like the people you play with, right? And then you gotta like the money.
Yeah.
Right? And
Gotta love that.
And he said you can do two, you can get away with two, but if you only have one, he says most musicians, obviously, most musicians will like leave the band. Because if you hate the people you play with, you don't like the music, no matter how much money it is, well, everybody's got a price, right? Anthony, $1 million, you hate playing with this guy and you hate the music, but
I love you.
But I love you for $1 million. Right. There's that.
I'll actually do it for $900,000 if there's anybody out there.
Is anybody out there? I hate you and I hate your music, but for $900,000, done.
I just give me the number and I'll try to beat it. Trust me, okay?
But all right, so let's stay with the Magic 3. Okay, so now here's the deal. I'm gonna wipe your mind like Westworld. I'm gonna wipe your brain just like that shit. Okay, but you can only take 3 songs with you on a magical island someplace, right? With 1 million beautiful men or women, whatever you like. I don't care. So, but you only get 3 songs to take with you, and one of them could be yours or whatever you want. The 3 is a magic number. You got one. You're on the clock. On the clock. What do you got? What do you got up in that sleeve there?
I mean, I would definitely say, if I wasn't married, of course.
Shout out.
That I would definitely try to play a song that accommodated, the other gender.
The other gender, whatever.
Whatever that may be. And then what I would try to do is I would try to find out what their absolute favorite song was, no matter if I liked it or not.
Oh, you're a pleaser.
Absolutely. And I would just learn the hell out of it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Why would you do anything else? It's so funny. I don't know if this kind of maybe goes to show you where my mind has gone during the quarantine, but there's a Netflix series, Too Hot to Handle. I don't know if you have even heard of this. I hope you haven't. I mean, if you haven't, you're a better man than I.
Okay.
But
do I need to watch it?
It's one of those things, man. Okay, so the premise behind this is, and I always try to keep this PG, so I'm going to do my best.
PG-13.
PG-13.
Yeah.
Because it is 8 o'clock, and it's bedtime.
It's bedtime.
And so the premise of the show is that they put together like 5 of the most beautiful guys you've ever seen, totally chiseled, just strapping guys, white teeth, charismatic and cocky as all hell. And then they do the same with the women. So the women are, just poster child, beautiful, 0 waist and white teeth and fake everything and the Botox and what have you and whatnot. And so they put them together as strangers on this island, and they kind of set it up like it's going to be like this great, everyone's single and we're just going to give you a bunch of alcohol and you guys can do whatever you want to do. And then, so they're all meeting each other, and they're all excited, like, yeah, we're so excited. This guy's so hot, I want him. This girl's so hot, I'm going to do this to him, blah, blah, blah. And then they drop this, like Siri device, kind of Amazon, not trying to...
yeah, they're listening.
Not trying to,
Just say recording device. Just say don't, because they already canceled us.
Yeah,
we call them out.
I definitely use one of the services that... typically comes like next day. I pay for the extra service, so I wouldn't mind actually getting in on that endorsement as well.
Such a whore. I love it.
But so then anyway, Siri comes out and she's like, hello, everybody. And they're like, oh my God, a talking device. And they kind of all, you could tell they're very, like only concentrated on their looks, and that was the way it was going in life. It wasn't about the smarts, it was about the looks, Hey, Siri, what's up? And Siri, whatever her name was, I don't know. But she's like, hey, welcome to the island. Here are the rules. This is this. Welcome to the blah, blah, blah. Oh, and finally, there will be no personal intimate activities whatsoever, and they're like, and this is going to happen for 30 days, you know, and you can't touch each other, you can't kiss each other, no. And so there's a pot, and the pot is $100,000, and if nothing happens, you split the $100,000 between all of you, and you all walk away with $10,000 or whatever. And so, of course, they can't contain themselves. Within, like, the first 6 hours, they're, like, kissing, and they're losing money and thousands of dollars and whatever. And it is one of those things where you're like, this is definitely some mindless watching, you know?
Right.
And, of course, I plowed through all 7 episodes, you know, that night or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Just like everybody did with the tiger guy. Just like everybody did.
Yeah.
We all did that. Yeah, everybody did that.
So how that, like, tied into the last thing we were saying, I don't know. I think my mind just
Well,
went
no,
to
but
the-
you did bring up a point. So, like, was there an AI there? Was there, like, a Siri? Was there a computer telling them what's going on?
Yeah.
So Anthony, we used to talk about this. We used to talk about this shit back when we were golfing back in the day. So you know why this whole pandemic's going on. You good on your drink?
I could use another water if you could.
Do you want a beer? There you go.
Is that up?
We'll do both. So during this whole pandemic, right, where this whole thing's going on, do you know that Google hooked up quantum physics, a quantum computer to Google? Do you know this? They literally call it quantum superiority. Like, wow. I'm not kidding. You guys can go on Google right now. They're proud of it. Sounds
like it. I would be.
So this thing, I swear to God, Anthony, this thing is about the size of a big garbage can. Okay. And it has the computer processing of a warehouse full of supercomputers. This gigantic machine here, and it's a quantum computer, right? And it's literally and it's out there listening to us, and it's probably gonna shut us off because we're talking about it. The fact that we're talking about it's gonna be like my voice is
triggering right now.
Triggering right now, yeah. It's like so, but it's actually probably a good thing because all of us need to watch more TV and play more music now and record ourselves more than ever. So it's been
yeah. They're like, everyone's at home now.
Let's do it. Everybody's home.
Now's the time.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's crazy. What's so crazy to me is that, like, if they actually tuned into my personal life, they would probably, I don't know if they'd want to see half the stuff, you know? It's embarrassing for me. I mean, like,
right.
If they can only smell, like, behind my ears, like when I wipe behind my ears and, like, I haven't showered for 3 days because it's the quarantine, I'm like, like, kind of smells like my belly button does, and that's crazy. Who does that?
God, it's so
like,
disgusting.
What?
And you can't get a haircut either.
Which is weird because they're, like, sending me all these manscaping things now, you know, like, oh, well, we can't quite touch the smell behind your ears yet, but we kind of can get close with this other thing, you know?
Oh,
how about some deodorant, Anthony?
So Amazon send you deodorant now?
Whoa. We're not using...
Oh,
we're not crossing the streams here, okay?
That's right.
Because it's bad enough that you mentioned the G word already because we are not benefiting from this.
So gigantic shipping company that controls the world. All right, we'll call that. All right, and then supercomputer that controls the world. We'll just talk about that way.
Now I understand what Paul Bulger last week, ladies and gentlemen, was talking about the fruit fly.
Oh,
not the flies.
Fuck.
It's that one.
Fruit flies, like I said, are a bar owner / bartender's worst enemy, and we're just not here. There's nobody here. There's nobody's in here to fight them off, to keep them away, because they love sugars. And by the way, I looked them up. Fruit flies are crazy. They're the craziest animal in the world. They, like, literally only live like a day, and they have their eggs, like, boom, right away. Like, I hate them all. Burn them.
Or they're probably like little Google robots, maybe.
Oh, that
like,
they might be the cameras. They might be They might be literally taking us over. They might be little cameras around. Yeah, I fucking hate the fruit flies.
They're called the glute fly. The goo.
Sorry, supercomputer controls us all. Sorry. Yeah, no, but all right. So you got it. You've been writing songs. You got something up the sleeve. What's going on, bro? What do you got for us?
Yeah. So
what do you got for us?
Original tune wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can play something like that.
I would love to hear that.
I've been working on a lot of them, and so the idea was that I was going to be totally lazy during this whole thing, and that maybe I would try to just release a bunch of songs. So what I have decided to do was I've kind of put this out into the atmosphere, and so it kind of holds me responsible. But I'm going to try to put an original tune out every Saturday now, a lot of which are new because you get bored of your own stuff, you know, your old stuff. You get bored of it. I get bored of my new stuff. Once I've, like, time through it, and then I have to, like, edit through it and blah, blah, blah. I already hate it. So I'm just going to try to put out old and new material, and I guess, I don't know what I want to play, but maybe...
He's going to look that up. While he looks it up, I'm going to just say real quick, I want to thank Paul again for being here last week. By the way, Paul played some stuff off the PBJ album that they've been working on for a year, and they were going to release it, but then the pandemic started. So you guys got to hear some cool stuff off of the, if you have not heard it yet, it's out there somewhere, right? Maddie, anybody can get it anytime, right? It's out there. It's on Facebook right now. You can get on Facebook. They're working on a YouTube channel. We're going to get a YouTube channel because I hate Zuckerberg. Sorry. They're going to probably kick us off. I hate Zuckerberg, but that's just, I know, but it's true. I do.
On his platform,
they made an awesome movie about what a jerk he was. It was a great movie, by the way. Like, he's such a jerk, and they made a great movie about how much of a jerk he is. So, but anyway.
Mark, I don't.
He doesn't apply
specifically agree, and not like I don't agree or disagree, but Mark, if you want to back my situation, I give a line of endorsements on way down.
You're holding yourself to Mark Zuckerberg right now?
What are you talking about, man?
The guy wouldn't even pay his best friend. What's he going to do to you, No,
that's true. That's true. But that specifically isn't true. That's why I didn't exactly acknowledge by verbal confirmation that the specific person you were talking about was exactly him.
But I didn't say his name.
Okay, so let's see. So this is one. I haven't played since October, but I know that a couple people are watching like this one, so I'm going to play it.
Okay.
And maybe I'll do a sort of condensed version of it. I saw a snowflake from a cottonwood in the sky. I got my matches out and lit a fire. It smelled like something sweet. The only thing that's missing was that heat. All that was left was ashes in the stream. And then the seed spread like by fire. Call up something sweet. The only thing that's missing was the heat. What can I say? What can I do? Burn every leaf and fall for you. What can I say? What can I do? And when the sun broke from a rain cloud in the sky, I put my shovel down. Cool up something sweet. The only thing that's missing was the heat. What can I say? What can I do? What can I say? What can I do? What can I say? What can I do?
I wish this place was packed full of people because that was fucking awesome. That was awesome.
Right on, man.
Yeah, that was very cool. So you wrote that a couple years ago?
No, this is cool. There's a really cool group of people from the south side of Chicago and the neighborhood of Beverly, which is where I come from.
Beverly?
Beverly.
Shout out to Beverly.
Shout out to Beverly. But specifically, there is this concert that was put on by these amazing group of people, and it's the Beverly Art Collective, or the Beverly Collective, or something like that. But Megan Barba and her cousin Amy and her sister Katie have a big part in bringing music and art to the south side of Chicago, and specifically this little area. And I believe they totally transformed this area into this kind of like really cool niche art scene and art music kind of vibe. And Megan and Katie, her sister, own this salon that's very cool, very like free spirit kind of run place, very awesome. And they have concerts in the back of their salon all the time in the summer. And they have great national acts that will come and they'll like have free beer, free craft beer, and like
free beer.
And what I'm telling you, you guys should actually. It would be great if you guys could connect in some way. But
yeah, paint this picture.
So they're focusing on, and it's amazing. Their whole drive is like about this very positive thing, and they're all about music. And so their thing is, they're kind of running this business so they can fund their music addictions. So they're
I know that drug.
And they're like totally teaming up with like amazing people like Optimo, who owns the Optimo hat company, who like Brad Pitt wears, these hats, and Johnny Depp, he's like red carpet star. And then there's Graham Elliott, the chef. They're like all like feeding on this cool scene that's happening in Beverly. And they're good friends with these people who are running this thing. So they had this concert in October, which was the first run of many that they're going to do. And I told them I would write some songs for their concert. Like, you want to play? I'm like, cool, I'd love to play. And I'll write some songs for your thing. That way it's kind of like special to the whole thing. So that kind of has like a kind of a fall kind of vibe to it. And that's when it was. It was in October. But anyway, long story short, that's where that one came from. So that was actually in October of last year, 2019.
Great. I loved it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, so okay. Once again, I'm ignorant. So show the camera. But on his guitar, he put a little. What do you help me out? What do you call that thing?
It's just a capo. So what it does, just basically changes the key of your instrument from being in one key to the other.
Were you still using the Magic 3?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Nothing changes about this.
Nothing changes about the Magic 3.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just rhythm. Okay.
Yeah. By the way, music is two parts. There's rhythm, and there's harmony, and
unless you're Frank Zappa.
Well, they're both are happening like simultaneously, like the best.
Is that what he is? Because I still haven't figured him out yet. I've tried so hard to figure him out.
Yeah. The cool thing about Frank Zappa, think about any of those kind of guys. Really, a lot of music from back in the day is super impressive because they got to where they were musically and whatever genre of music they were without the assistance of much. They didn't have YouTube or Google. I mean, they just came up with this music based upon what they heard, what they had to like dig out of the dirt, so to speak. They really just figured it out. I'm like, I got the information on YouTube and I could just call it my own now, to a certain extent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never figured it out. Like, okay, so here's the crazy. All right, so now I'm gonna push your brain to another level, okay? Because I love, because you're right, because it is true. Like even when I think of like Guns N' Roses, Axl's voice was the one that drove the song, right?
Sure.
Right, but he followed the magic 4 chords and the magic 3 that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when Beethoven and Mozart and those motherfuckers were doing their shit, right? They had opera singers and stuff. Were they playing their stuff? Like, what's the difference between those guys? What's the difference between classical music and today? Is it the same, or is it crazy? Am I asking stupid questions?
No, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's just dressed up in style. So musically, there is just a lot more happening in the classical music. They're outright stating the rules of music for you, which is amazing. I kind of think it was a different vibe back then. Back in the classical days, they were just like the people who were listening to it. The only thing they had to listen to was whatever people gave them. Like if Mozart was giving them music, like that's what they were listening to. Or the churches were like, that's where they were like getting their the only source of music they were listening to, you know? So at the time, like pop music was just like giving them these very sophisticated, like bam, bam, bam. This is the rules of music.
Was Mozart pop? Was Mozart like pop or what?
Absolutely. He was the most popular thing in the time, you know?
Yeah.
No doubt about it, man. I mean, I don't think, you know, I think that people react to music differently based upon different things and the times that they're in. But yeah, back then, you know, they had like these people doing these very woven, complex melodies, and they were dressed up very carefully organized by multiple instruments, you know, versus nowadays, we kind of summarize that on the guitar. We're like, if I could play in the key, you know. Out here, that's too high. Out here in the field, you know, we're doing exactly what kind of classical music is sort of doing, although they might, instead of going with one instrument, they're going to be doing that with 11 instruments, just doing this part, you know.
Oh, is that?
Pretty much, yes.
Huh.
Now, the melodies that they were playing, you know, you can't just summarize it in one song. They were all doing different things, you know, just like our music does now. Our music changes keys, and it does all these cool different rhythms, and it creates different feels. We're like, I hate that song. I love this one. This one's, you know, more acceptable to my ears than this one is. Same thing that was happening back then, although they were outright stating the rules of music. They were like, boom, 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 boom. You're like, oh, yeah, that's what it is, you know. We just go, on that one chord, which is fine. Jazz music is kind of like a variation from classical music in that it took a very stated way of playing music, right? A very accurate, composed thing.
Right.
And they kind of did the antithesis of that, where they're like, let's sort of like take those perfect melodies and we'll impose it on some very improvised music, you know? So we're going to take all the knowledge that we got from the classical vein. We're going to spice it up in our way that they said we couldn't do back then, which is crazy because there was actually rules to music. There was like rules.
What do you mean rules of music?
Dude, there was like compositional rules that like
you have to follow these rules.
You had to follow in order of the king,
and
otherwise they would chop your head off. I'm serious, man. Yeah.
That makes no sense at all.
I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
So like, it would be like super bombastic and like out of the ordinary for someone to just come along and like say, "Fuck you, I'm doing this, man."
Yeah,
you know,
there was no rock and roll except for Mozart because he was crazy.
Sure,
right?
there was, but he died. You know,
yeah. Right. You know, I was watching a documentary, and you can help me out with this. Okay, please. So I was watching a documentary, and Kurt Cobain talked about how he went to one of his, and I watched this with my brother. My brother's a really good musician. He's a good guitar player, and he goes like this. He goes, I went to a teacher, and because Kurt was so fucking smart. He was crazy smart. He says, once he taught me power chords, I didn't need any more lessons.
Amen.
Like, so explain power chords to me, please. Yeah. I would love to hear that.
Power chords are the rule in classical music that they didn't want you to do. Which
you go to jail if you go to power chords?
Which makes them so badass, dude. They're fifths. Okay, so like...
they part of the three?
Well, they're two. There's only two notes, right? Which is cool. But the reason why it's cool is because it's ambiguous, and without that third note, it doesn't really give you some sort of like definition of what it is. If you added one more note, you'd be like, oh, this is definitely this chord. But if you don't have that third note, you kind of can get away with like, this maybe could be this chord, or this might be this chord. You know, you never know. And so that was the beauty of it. It was just so square pegged and rock and roll, baby. You know, like, okay, so what it is these two notes.
Give me some power chords.
Yeah, I feel really bad if anyone's out there and has perfect pitch. Wow, I feel bad for you.
Don't trust a perfect
pitch,
pitch, and don't trust a perfect song,
Sorry.
flawless song.
Whew. Yeah. So anyway, power chord are these two notes, right? And you heard it like, God, what would be a popular? I don't know why this comes to mind, but you know this one, don't you?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
Green Day. I heard you crying loud. Right? These crowd. These chords are
Those are just power chords?
Power chords. They're 2 notes, and if you on a guitar, it's great because you can see I'm using the same finger. I'm just sliding my hand up like woo.
So that's why he loved it so much, because it's easier.
Absolutely, man. The guitar is beautiful in that way, where you can take your same fingering and drag it all up and down the neck like you own that thing, man. Like,
so is that what he did? Is that what Kurt did? He was just a power chord guy? Is that what he did?
Sure. But here's a good note for anybody. You know, the technical element of an instrument to me is only as impressive as how much you imparted what you actually thought into your instrument. Meaning, the reason why those melodies are cool with power chords is because the singers imparted their melody over those things, you know? And their melody made it complex and beautiful. It's just as beautiful as a Mozart piece in many ways because they were doing things that you probably didn't hear before, and they were triggering, they were kind of triggering emotions within you based upon what their melody was doing, you know? Like, I used to listen to Nirvana all the time. You said Kurt. I think are you saying Kurt Cobain?
Yeah.
Right. So I used to listen to that all the time, you know, and when I would hear I don't know, I'm so happy 'cause today I found my, it was the melody that was super cool about it, you know?
So cool.
It didn't even matter what was happening on the guitar. No one ever was like, play Freebird, Kurt, you know? They were like, play those cool lyrics that you're doing with that very melancholy voice that obviously has some soul crunching good melodies that are also kind of creative at the same time. That is just as good as somebody going, you know, that's all cool too.
Yeah, I love that
That's
too.
Great too, man.
Yeah, that's cool shit right there.
That is great. And when you hear it, that's mind-boggling because what you're hearing is someone was like, I translated my voice, and my voice is complex as hell, and I am able to play it now. You're like, oh my God, your mind can think like that, you know?
No, my mind can't. Yours can. Mine can't. Paul's can. You and Paul. And Paul.
Paul's amazing.
And Bobby. Man. Oh shit, Bobby Scamacci. Let's talk. We gotta talk.
I think Bobby Scamacci should be a segment of every single one of these things you do because he doesn't get enough praise, in my opinion.
Dude, let's pray him out. Let's pray Bobby out right now.
Not because Bobby is just a sweetheart of a guy and he's Italian like me. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Scamacci.
Hey, Scamacci.
Scamacci.
Not because of his beautiful, his beautiful background. The guy is just the way he plays is very natural, and it appeals to most people. They're like, this guy is kicking ass, and he's doing it in a way I could totally get down with.
Right.
That is a hard thing to do, man. You know, because like anything, when people get enough knowledge in their head and they go, you know, I know Mozart now. Well, screw you. I'm not playing like James Brown anymore. I'm gonna do this. You know.
Right.
Dude, Bobby Scamacci can play all that. There's many musicians out there who could do that, but the guys who choose to just keep it cool and then bring all that energy that would have gone into otherwise learning those melodies that no one listens to anymore, and they just put all that into that simple thing, it gets so much stank on it, you know?
Oh, yeah. I do.
And that's what he brings. And then he brings a level of consistency the whole time. And for anybody who's into music, that is just, this guy doesn't realize that he's just totally thinking, and he's able to connect with whatever his brain tells his hands to do, they're going to do them. It's amazing, dude.
It's the craziest thing ever. I've only seen two. I've only had two keyboard players. One is a guy who played literally with guy who he owns a bar in Chicago, blues greatest. Come on,
Marty Salmon maybe, or owns a bar in Chicago.
Yeah, the blues player, the best blues bob with Chicago. You know, come on, he owns. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, I saw him play Marty. His name is Marty. Okay, Marty. He was amazing. Bobby.
Wait, you're talking about Marty Salmon, who
Yes.
plays with Buddy Guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Marty was on my stage too.
Marty's a great dude, good friend of mine. Hi, Marty.
Marty, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I mean, great. Like those two gentlemen. Those are the only two gentlemen that literally I see their fingers disappear when they play the piano. It's like they literally play so fast and so on top of it and so craziness that their fingers are literally like you can't see them move.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, beyond Bobby's ability to do technical things that are beyond a lot of people's capabilities, which is an impressive feat in itself, because you're seeing the product of somebody who put in so much time into their craft. It's impressive.
Right.
You know, what you're watching is just years and hours and dedication to that instrument. You know what I mean? That's insane to think about. Like Bobby being such a social guy and very charismatic and a sweetheart of a guy, you know, when you think about it, you're like, God, this guy must have spent years being such a good guy. But even more time somehow he found during the day to be an insanely good keyboard player, which is why he played with Dave Mason and the Allman Brothers and
Fleetwood Mac. He played with fucking Fleetwood Mac, dude.
Yeah, dude.
And I got to thank him. Shout out to Bob because he introduced me and Anthony, so big time. And he also introduced me to Bill Furlong, which is all the art that's everywhere. That's on my building, by the way. So Bill's an amazing human too,
and an amazing bass player. Which I don't understand how you can possibly be such a good bass player, and then to do the kind of artwork that he's doing. It looks like it's a photo. In fact, when I was telling Mike that when I went to his website. Or I went to his Facebook page, and I was looking at the photos. I saw there was a picture of Michael Jackson, and if any of you guys, aren't going to work tomorrow, like 95% of you, you should take 2 seconds out of your day, which I'm sure you've packed with like hunting for firewood or like, laying on the couch. Yeah, plowing through Netflix or whatever.
Make sure you get toilet paper. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Netflix.
Gigantic computer thing company, yeah.
What you need to do is go check out the Evenflow Facebook page and check out the pictures, and then notice these stunning, $1 million paintings on the wall that look like photographs. It's Bill Furlong who painted those by hand. It's amazing, man.
Dude, not only did he paint them, his shadowing is amazing. I always told him, see, I'm a total comic book dork, okay? And, are you a comic book dork at all? A little bit?
No, I'm just a dork.
You're just a dork. Okay. Comic book dork. So let me just get out to the comic book dorks real quick. There is the storyteller, there's the guy that does the art, and then there's the guy that does the shadowing. Okay. They literally hire a guy to do the shadowing because it's so important.
Really?
Yeah, in comic books.
That's
the shadowing is
cool,
a gigantic, it's a huge part of the depth of a comic book and a story, right? A storyboard. Shadowing, and we know that because of lighting. Every movie we have is the lighting so important, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right now, just like the lighting on me and you is terrible, and I probably look really old. But, and there's fruit flies too, right? So, but anyway, Bill's shadowing is amazing. And now here's another thing. He's the bass player for 16 Candles. They're badass and shit. They pack houses.
Absolutely.
So he's a really, really beautiful man with that. He's just a beautiful man for that. And if you really, really, really want to check him out, dude, check out his pictures. His photography is sick. He's got a Stanley Kubrick type of style where his photography, like literally his art is, he paints such a brush with his bass and his paintbrush and his camera. He's just that level. There's just some guys there's just some dudes that got it,
this should be a nominate. I nominate such and such to come to Evenflown and talk on the stage. And I would nominate Bill for sure.
Once again, I'll bring it again. Dave Chappelle won the award for. I'm not putting Bill and Dave Chappelle, but he won the Mark Twain Award. There's just some guys that are just that level, right? There's just some dudes that are at level. Bill is one of my favorite people in the world. I love him so much. Shout out Bill. # Bill Furlong. Yeah. So, but there's just guys that got it. You know what I mean? And listen to me. I truly have seen you, and you got it. And now I get a little trust. Can I get some R. Kelly or something from you?
Come on, you went the R's.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Literally, one of the funniest things ever was you went from. I swear to God, I think you did a Tom Petty song. I'm not kidding you. I think you did a Tom Petty song. Give me something. Go crazy. Go crazy.
I don't even. Now you're talking about getting totally controversial. I don't even know. I don't remember the lyrics. Hold up in your grill, mama, give me to a tail. I know really what you feeling. I'm feeling. So give me a beat, beat. So give me that. Dreamed our head to your toes. On 24s, we're on the sale, no radio. It's a remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in there wishing. Sipping on cooking rum, like so on I'm drunk. It's a freaking weekend, maybe I'm about to have me some fun. Stretch down. My stretch navigator with my food everywhere, as if the party was catered. I got fellas to my left, huns to my right. Put them all together again, we're juking all night. And after the party is a hotel lobby, and I screw with Lily, and you know, I screwed up, but you know.
No, it's fucking awesome. That's great work. That's just great work.
That just goes to show you that, you know, no song is a bad song, and certain songs have a certain effect on certain people, which could be beneficial in certain situations. You know, to be that's to be. You can think about that.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep.
It's not so deep. It's
kind
of shallow almost. But
it's a little shallow, right? It's actually the opposite of deep and shallow. So. Good work. No, but there is though. Listen, in every genre, like I'm not a gigantic country guy. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not a gigantic country guy. But in every genre, you got your Johnny Cash. Every genre, like there's literally like there's some of that shit that. Like I watch with my my daughter. I watch the Aladdin movie. You know. The new one, which is directed by.
I've seen it 500 times.
Directed by Guy Pearce, by the way, or not Guy Pearce, directed by Guy Ritchie.
Oh.
Guy Ritchie, the same fucking Snatch guy.
Yeah.
You know, he directed that, and they do that like the Indian like the sitar right in that, and it, of course it brings it back to George Harrison because he's got to introduce the sitar to me, right?
Love that one. That's a good one.
A whole new world, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we're going into right now, right? When we get out of our houses, a whole new world. Is that what we're doing?
I can show you my thing. I ain't gonna go there.
No, don't go there. Well, I mean, you can on a porn site, not on my channel.
No.
Not on my channel. I can show you my thing.
My kids stay up till like 4 a.m, so.
Yeah.
Daddy.
Yeah, and you also taught them to drink coffee too.
Let me give me that, dad.
Yeah, no, it's been a crazy, like, okay, so, all right, so now, you know how we're addicted to fucking, like, just watching TV because it's, like, in our phones now? That's all
I've always been there, though.
But, yeah, okay, so I decided I wanted to watch, like, I was kind of in the mood for, like, a scary movie, so I was thinking, like, because I haven't seen a good, so I was thinking, like, a John Carpenter's movie, like I was thinking Halloween or, like, The Mouth of Madness, so I'm searching his, you know, IBD, like, I'm searching him on web, like everybody else searches everybody else, and I came across... Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I had no idea that movie was a John Carpenter movie. So really? I watched Big Trouble in Little China, which when I was like 9 years old, I must have watched that 6,000 times.
Yeah.
I dare you to watch it now. It's fantastic and way ahead of its time.
I bet.
It was way ahead of its time.
I'll bet. And you know what? You guys were talking about something last week. What did you say? A Coen Brothers movie. You were talking about Old Country for...
Old Country for...
No Country for Old Men or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah, and I used to go, I did this, I always, who doesn't do that? You know, you go on the kick, I'm like, who directed this one? You know, and who directed this? And yeah, that was when I was like, oh, what else did they do? You know, I mean, of course I've seen, you know, every single one of their other films before then, but, you know, at that point you're like, oh yeah, that's right, the Coen Brothers, they got some cool movies.
Oh my God. See, that's one thing. Okay, so one thing being sucked into the house and you gotta watch TV all day and get scared of a virus. Like literally, like my one suggestion to everybody out there, I only have one suggestion for you out there, is if you like a movie, find out who directed or produced it, and then look up their Wikipedia.
Write them an email.
Right. No. Because then you'll find, like, there's a bunch of shit. Like Joel Silver, I learned a bunch of shit. Like, I watched some weird shit on Joel Silver did. Joel Silver is the producer that did, you know, Terminator and all that shit. And he's got some B-side stuff. But like, the producer and the director, like, those are the guys that you want to look up. Like I said, Guy Ritchie, man, he's got so many amazing movies that nobody knows anything about. There's another movie out there by Guy Ritchie. It's called A Man from U.N.C.L.E. Have you ever heard of that movie before?
No.
Okay, so A Man from U.N.C.L.E. was a 60s TV show about spies, right? About spies, Russia versus America versus, you know, like Cold War wall and shit like that.
Yeah.
A Man from U.N.C.L.E. is one of the best fucking spy movies you'll ever fucking see.
Some 80s action or what?
Dude, it's, what's that?
Some 80s? Was it 80s?
No, it's brand new. He did it like,
okay.
No, he did, the Guy Ritchie probably, it's a story based on the 60s when they tore down the wall.
Oh, the 60s. Yeah, you're right.
Right. It's a story based on when they tore down the wall. Oh, and then Pink Floyd too. That was so. Once again, shout out to Westworld. If you guys listen, the Westworld went crazy in season 3. Shout out, and they did a Pink Floyd song at the perfect time. The editing is amazing. So that's another. I'll just give that out there if anybody wants to watch that. It's crazy robot shit. It's science fiction, but it's really well done. So that's my life right now, just TV. Pretty much my TV, but I will thank fucking Anthony for coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate it, dude.
No
I
problem,
really appreciate it. I'm not done. We're not done. We still got drinks. I
Yeah.
just want to thank you now for coming out because all of my life is TV. But I have spent a lot of time with my daughter, which is wonderful, and you spend a lot of time with your kids, which is great. So you've been writing some music. What else you got for me?
Yeah, original tune-wise?
Yeah, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. Let's see, maybe a newer one again.
Okay.
These are all like newer.
Newer?
That's why I'm like...
Older, newer? Is there older, newer, and newer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, newer. Older, newer would be like October.
All right. Rocktober.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, I don't think I've ever played this one.
No? Oh, original. Original again. Like I said, Paul Blozier played some stuff off of PBJ last week. First time everybody heard it. Just saying, first time you hear it is here. That's what I'm saying. First time you're hearing this from Antoine Massaro.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Antoine.
How much for long I known you, how much for long I known you. Everything between us was pretend. And all those games we played, they were just things we made up. Just smoke dreams in the passing of time. You and I, we are not friends. We are just lovers in the end. Remember what I told you. I'll ever loved you, but I was burning from both ends. And all the places you moved, and every phase we went through, and it was all just passing of time. You and I, we are not friends. We are just lovers in the end. You and I, we are not friends. We are just lovers in the end. are just lovers in the end.
Damn it.
Thank you, Evenflow.
Damn it. Yeah. Damn it. That was fucking awesome again, bro. Like
Cool, man.
awesomeness. Really good, right? Maddie, you like it out there? Sounds good. Sounds good. Andrew, are we good out there? Dude, we're so blessed. I'm so blessed. Literally, thank you so much, Anthony. I'm not kicking off again. I just want to say thank you. Like, and I don't even understand how you do that shit. Like, how you write that. It's not my brain. Like, I know how to pour drinks. That's what I'm good at. I'm really good at pouring drinks, and paying taxes. I do that a lot.
Yeah,
I do
you're
that
good
a
at
lot.
that.
I'm good at that. I'm really good at that. Actually, I'm terrible at that too.
Well, thank God you do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. So, but I really that's awesome. I want to hear one more. We'll save your favorite for your last. All right. We'll go out with a bang, and then we'll light the building on fire, and then I'll collect all the insurance money. Oh shit! Am I live right now? Sorry. Is that a bad idea? Bad plan?
Well, I mean, there's nothing that really proved anything happened because we're speaking from a future point of view. So
Right. We don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Technically,
Right.
you know,
Anything's
does
possible.
that really hold up in court? I guess maybe the premeditated. Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know.
Look, Your Honor, we have my video on
yeah.
Zuckerberg's Facebook.
He's trying to say that it's impossible to predict the future, but we call that premeditation.
Premeditation, whatever that is.
Okay.
Whatever that lawyer talk is.
Yeah.
Keep your lawyer talk to yourself. Oh God, yeah, dude. So so it's been a while since you've been here because you're a Southsider and you're ganging and you're doing all your stuff. So
Yeah, ganging, baby.
just you're just dropping, you're just ganging down there.
Yeah, I'm ganging.
Southsiders for us in the suburbs, we think Southsiders are like, you guys always are like gangs, you know.
Yeah. Well, I am. You know, I got my kids, so they're like my gang for sure. I'm like the gang leader. It's like
Of your
It's like the
kids.
time in your life you're like, yeah, you know what? I am the gang leader, aren't I? Oh, you have to listen.
Oh God, life's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So just give me. I kind of want to hear your prediction. Are we gonna like flip the switch and go back to hanging out on whatever June 1st, or is this gonna be a slow process, or what are you thinking?
I mean, I've never been good at predicting like mass, what people are gonna do. However, I think I miss the interaction with other people and being in the same place, and I mean, I'm hoping that we can be like shaking hands again.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet, and hugging, and that's cool. But I think that people are gonna want to boogie, man. I think people are gonna want to go out and see live music again.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, why wouldn't you? I do. I would love to go out and see some live music right now. How many people wouldn't?
Love to see some live music.
Yeah, or like.
Dude, when Pearl Jam canceled their tour, I was like, I'd like teardrops.
Yeah.
Like just teardrops.
Think of how many people have all these concert tickets already for festivals. Lollapalooza. What did they say about that? Did they say anything about that?
No, they canceled that year, right?
They did?
Did they cancel Lollapalooza? Do we know? Google for us. See, I think, okay, here's our savior, and you said it earlier. I swear to God, we were talking earlier. We were talking off mic earlier. Sorry. But I think weddings are going to be the secret. I think people are going to be like, F this shit. Let's have a wedding, and let's get sweaty, and let's dance.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think private parties is the way to go. And, I don't think that things are going to change too much in the way of like people are creatures of their, habits and whatnot. But yeah, I think like the private thing I think it's going to open up more doors, like Paul was talking about how things are going to be streaming now, which is cool. And that's true. I do believe that that's not going to go away.
No.
I don't believe that people are going to stop streaming, and I think that's a great thing. And I like that for the musician standpoint. People are able to expose themselves as musicians. Like tonight, there's a platform for me to sing some new songs I've never played before or whatnot. But yeah, I think that where people will definitely feel a little bit more comfortable has got to be at places like a wedding and and churches and
Yeah,
you know,
churches too.
stuff
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
true.
You know, and I think that's a good place for people to maybe acclimate and be comfortable around people they're familiar with, and then say, okay, it's time to bust the R. Kelly songs out for some of the strangers.
I'm in a closet. I'm in a closet.
You're probably not playing R. Kelly at your family's party, but you know,
No,
whatever.
you are not. I still like I know. See, the problem is I can never paint this picture better than anybody. But I swear to God, we had a pretty good packed house that night, and you literally went from Tom Petty, and everybody was loving you, and then you went into R. Kelly, and half the audience was like, "What the fuck did I just walk into?"
Yeah,
it was great.
But you know it's awesome. And that's the other great thing about live music. There might be like one person there that just sets it off for everybody. You know, they're not afraid to get out on the dance floor and like be crazy. And then people loosen up and they're like, yeah, wait, I hate R. Kelly. I love R. Kelly anyway. Tonight, though, let's do this, you know? And I mean, who cares like what the dudes think anyway, if you're a dude who's maybe, you know, attracted to the opposite sex, you know?
Whatever.
You're more concerned with other priorities, you know, meaning you're trying to impress the date you're with or whatever. And you know what? You're welcome, gentlemen, because you may have wanted me to play like Insane Clown Posse or whatever.
Which you probably could do.
Right. Like it might be Fago night at Evenflow or something like that. And, you know, we got the Juggalos out there or whatever. But you're welcome for maybe making the night for your girlfriend who said, you know what, thanks for the evening, honey. I can't believe you took me to this guy who knows I love R. Kelly.
I know. That's the crazy thing. If some guy got lucky that night because you sang R. Kelly,
Honey,
God
you know I
bless
love R.
you,
Kelly.
sir. God bless
I love you, hon.
Yeah, God bless you.
Although there was a funny night. I don't know if you remember, but we were doing that, and it was totally, you know, I don't want to offend anybody ever when I'm playing. You know, I always like to incorporate everybody, and I don't like to say...
Yeah, you're a funny dude.
Yeah, I don't like to and say things that are, you know, might be controversial and offend somebody. I like to incorporate everybody, especially with music. And there was some guy, I assume that he may have been drunk or something, but he came up to us at the end of the night, and I thought he was going to, like, pay us a compliment. And he was like, come here, buddy, come here. You know, he's all smiling. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, like, you're welcome or whatever. I thought he was like, thanks for the song or something. He was all out hating, like, F you, I can't believe. I'm like, oh.
Wow, you got some hate.
Like
you got some hate.
I must have came off as if the only thing I could think of is that I was subconsciously, I wasn't paying attention to myself, you know, in all my glory in the moment.
Right.
Was thinking that I was being all inclusive, but I must have pissed somebody off.
You know, okay. So, I'll tell you my story on that because you can't please everybody, period. Yeah. Right, dude? So one time I'll tell you one of the crazy stories. So I literally, I had this fantastic girl, Meredith. She helps out, and she helps out, like she can sing. She helps out with our open live band karaoke and whatever.
Cool.
So we do live band karaoke with some great musicians, the Backdrop Band. I love all you guys. Shout out Backdrop Band. Love you guys, Jeremy, Joey, Frankie. So anyway, we do this, and I made a comment. I made a comment, and it was in jest. It was in jest. I made a comment saying that, like, my own personal Jesus, like, my own personal Jesus, like,
Absolutely.
we made that joke, right?
Yeah.
I said my own personal Jesus is Paul McCartney, because Paul McCartney has been such an influence in my life. All you need is love. You know, the craziness that he did. The Beatles, I grew up with the Beatles. I still think that the reason I'm born is because my mom and dad were listening to the Beatles. Like, you know.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
right? Because
fair.
they were huge Beatles fans. So I still think that he's out there. And silly little love songs, all the beautiful things. And I made a joke. And literally, these people were going to get up and leave because I made the comment about Jesus, right? They were like, I was making a joke about a Depeche Mode song with Paul McCartney, and probably Depeche Mode probably does. Right? Am I doing that right? Is Depeche Mode? Yeah.
I don't want to say specifically.
So. I don't know. Hashtag me if I'm an idiot. Sorry. But it's one of those guys. So anyway, I made that joke, and these people were going to get up and walk away, like, and they were having fun, and she had to stop them and be like, Mike, he's just joking. This is not a thing. He's not talking about. You know, Paul McCartney is more powerful than Jesus. Although John Lennon did say that, and he got a lot of shit for that. By the way, he got a lot of shit for that. Yeah. That was tough. So, but like that wasn't my. But see the deal. You can't predict what other people's intentions are. You can't. You just got to be yourself and let the fucking waves go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in that situation, like, dude, do you know how many times people have just come up to me at the bar and just been just ignorant and just stupid and saying the stupid is like as a bartender, you hear everything, you know, and you hear it all, and we're also your cheapest psychiatrists too because we give you drugs and the drugs are really cheap.
You're listening,
and you're listening, and hashtag alcohol. So like, but that was so. What I'm telling you, Anthony, is don't take that to heart. Whatever you do, don't take that shit to heart because you can't please everybody.
Yeah, you just can't.
You can't.
You can't. And I know you, Mike, and for anybody who knows you, your heart is pure. And you were not that guy who was trying to offend anybody. So, yeah, you're right. You can't. What can you do? I mean, honestly, if your intentions are pure, what are you going to do, man? The rest, I guess, I don't know. There's just no answer for it.
There's no. You know what you do is you learn from it, and then you move on.
Right.
So, like, when you do that, you go, my personal Jesus, hashtag, I don't offend your religion or whatever stupid stuff you have to say or whatever. Like, and that's what the world we live in right now. It really is. But here's the deal. Like, at least we're communicating. That's the good thing. At least we're communicating as a culture. And one of the best things, I will tell you, okay, so one of my favorite things I learned about music, and I learned this from my cousin Adam Gardner. Do you know Adam?
Love Adam, yep.
Yeah, you know Adam.
Awesome bass player.
Dude, amazing mixer.
Great dude.
Genius when it comes to that shit. Bass player, amazing. So he taught me once that music is crazy because it's a language. And you can meet somebody in Japan and not speak Japanese at all, but if he's a good violinist or a guitar player or whatever, you guys can sit down and just jam.
Yep.
Who's your favorite? Who's one dude that you have jammed with that you never thought you jammed with before? Like, who's a dude that you were just like, have you ever jammed with somebody you can't speak the same language with?
Wow, that's a good question. You know what? I probably have in college. Oh, yeah. There was this great piano player in college. She was Eastern European or something, and this guy was just amazing, man. This guy was just light years beyond everybody at the time, in the music program. Yeah, I definitely did. And we got along because of that. We really did.
Over the music?
Yeah, we did because I liked the way he played, and maybe he liked the way I played too, although I can't even imagine it would even match his technical abilities. But at the time, that was we were cool, and we would get together. We would play, he had very limited English, and we'd get together outside of school and play. And we had these ambitions about. I think he had more ambitions about me, taking charge of the thing because he came to America to play piano, and probably didn't know any English, and learned as much English as he could in a small amount of time. Which that's another thing that amazes me of people who can speak different languages, and learned the limited amount of English he could, and we were able to play, and that is amazing. He's right. Adam's right. It is. It's a definite thing. You hear it. It's very common, and you guys are both doing it, and it's amazing. It is a language for sure.
That's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's amazing. It's amazing. Think about it. It doesn't matter who you are. It's a very weird phenomenon to begin with. It's just a weird thing, when we associate music with all kind of emotional things and events in our life and memories.
Oh God, they bring back. Oh, dude,
it's amazing.
Dude, can you remember the first song when you had made love for the first time, or we're on spring break or whatever? Music brings that back.
Yeah, totally.
It just brings it back.
Totally, smell.
It does.
Music, it's amazing, and you can't really describe it. It's just.
Is it a language though? Can you talk to somebody through the music?
Well,
I mean, Prince could.
Yeah, I think that. I think now it's a little bit easier to sort of do that because we kind of categorize music, and we're like, oh, this is an R&B song. This is really romantic sounding,
that's
et cetera. On a very basic level.
Right.
But absolutely. I mean, in other cultures and stuff, they use music as a language differently than we use it, because there'll be villages of people in Africa who don't even think about the rules of music, where they make their own rules together. They make their own rules.
The king would have killed them.
That's not even it's they just make up their own thing. So they might be their thing might be more rhythmic because it's more intuitive. And they might be and they're all okay. and then that might be the basis for a dance or something that happens then, and they all kind of figure it out. They'll play it, they all react to it, they all do it. So for purposes of like organizing people, for sure, I think it's a language, whether it has any other like meaning beyond that. I know we all sort of fantasize about music being like, like some sort of transcendent, like medium or something, and it very well could be vibrations. Yeah. Vibration is a physical thing, My buddy Keith Zofke, who's an amazing, amazing person, amazing monster guitar player, an amazing human being, and just a master know-it-all of everything that is in life. I feel like that's another guy you should have on here. Keith's a monster man. And Bobby
Write that
Scamacci.
down. Write that down, boys.
Bobby Scamacci would definitely vouch for Keith. But so Keith, he is into like electronics outside of being very musical, and can measure physical wavelengths and things like that, and knows that there's a resonance to the earth and there's a resonance to the human body, which are very physical, real things that are not arguable at all. They're just realistic things, and the military uses vibration to scare people out of foxholes. Very low vibrations and very subsonic frequencies can knock down buildings. So these are very real. Right. These are very real things that Keith's, anyway, long story short, Keith has a very good theory about how, on a very deep level, but a very practical one, that these vibrations are almost like dimensions, and they exist. You can communicate based on these very specific harmonics that happen in natural frequency, and I do believe that because we have things like wireless communication, right?
Right.
And that physically
is a frequency.
That's frequency.
It's just super high. Give me your highest note on there. Give me your highest note.
It's probably a harmonic somewhere, like
right there.
I can't.
So
I can't even play.
So radio waves are a lot faster than that.
You can barely hear it. You hear that?
Yeah, I got it.
There's overtones that happen there. So you might hear the note, but then on top of that, there's these little harmonic, like octaves or whatever, that happen, frequencies that happen. Mm-hmm. So, like radio frequency and stuff like that, we're communicating on a frequency.
Right.
And so they're picking frequencies to communicate on. So we don't know everything.
No, we don't.
Certainly don't. And it's definitely fathomable to say, because of the knowledge that we don't have, that other things can possibly communicate or happen on those frequencies that we just aren't able to tap into yet.
Dude, I'll tell you. So, Anthony, you just spiked on something. My Uncle Mike, who I'm named after, Michael Anthony, he's a genius. He's a piano player. He was directed a bunch of orchestras. He's a badass dude. So he taught me that, imagine you have a piano, and on the left side you have an infinite key. So you go boom, 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 and you go all the way low. The lower you go is the vibrations, and eventually you get to a vibration like what's like an earthquake. That's how low it is, right? Like an earthquake is literally like,
yeah.
And then you go higher, and you got on the right side, you go higher and higher, and you have microwaves, you have Bluetooth, you have ultrasonic waves, and the highest is light. Because light is literally a wave. Yeah. It literally is a wave. And the beauty, that's the whole singularity. That's what Einstein was trying to figure out. Einstein was trying to figure out how to tie it all together. He couldn't before he died. Damn it. Yeah. That would have been nice.
You know what? And I don't know. And I'm not a physicist or anything. And I know definitely there's a group of people out there.
You're a physicist.
Who definitely can. Bob Georges, who I know you guys were mentioning last week, is definitely one of those human beings, a very special human who is definitely very tuned into physics. And he probably... Lord knows that man has done amazing things with sound and frequency. In fact, Bob Georges actually, he had a hand in tuning in your sound system. I brought Bob in.
Okay, so once again, we make a mistake. Me and Anthony will bring up people that nobody knows anybody about. Bob Georges is the guy that helped us do the sound here. He also was a fantastic guitar player for Mr. Bellotto.
Absolutely a phenomenal guitar player and a great human. Yeah, just a freak. One of those guys where... Like, he had this just ability to take knowledge and turn it into something that we're like, yeah, dude, very well done. We like this. You're not like doing things that we don't understand and we'll never use. Like, you're turning your physical knowledge into things that we're really digging on level that we're in the bar and drinking to, and that's just very cool, you know.
And his brain is still in here someplace. But we still have his stuff here.
Absolutely, yeah. Bob, I brought Bob in to tune the system, meaning he made sure that there was no interfering frequencies with like your walls and stuff. You know, he was able to kind of, to a certain degree, in layman's terms, he was able to basically tame some of the frequencies that were really bouncing around the room. Like you had mentioned to me, you had done some work with some mid-range frequencies to kind of tame those, you know. And so Bob is an absolute genius when it comes to engineering sound systems and rooms. I mean, he built boxes, you know. He built speaker cabinet, very good speaker cabinets, efficient speaker cabinets based on the rules of physics, you know. So he's very attuned to what a larger box like a room would do when a speaker is, you know, interacting with it and stuff. But to make a long story short, yeah, I'm very into the idea that that frequency and vibration and music specifically, which is like all the frequencies, which is great. Right. You know, you're like, oh, why don't we just take, instead of just like communicating on, you know, 656, you know, why don't we just incorporate all these and we'll play them at different times? I mean, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
It's amazing.
Well, I mean, with the exception of World War II and this coronavirus thing going on right now, the only thing that we have in common with every other culture that was born in whatever caves they were is every culture has its own music. Japanese have their own music. Chinese have their own music.
Yeah.
You talked about earlier about Africa having them hitting drums. Right? I mean, we literally know that, like, with the cavemen, the original, like 100,000 years ago, dudes, they had drums and rocks and shit, right?
Totally.
They were making music and dance around fires. So one thing that's awesome about our life is that music, and that's the best part, is that, like, Asia loves our music, and we love their music. Like the sitar is amazing. It's amazing. That was not an American instrument, but yet they'll buy, in Russia will buy Beatles music and you know what I mean?
True.
It's just a beautiful thing. It really is. And I really appreciate you being here. Hey, all right, so let's finish up. Give me one more song because we got to close this up eventually. We got to rock and roll.
Okay, well, I got to say thank you, Mike, because first of all, there's, ladies and gentlemen, in the internet world, Mike is a super huge fan of music, and it's really cool for you to be doing something like this because most bar owners are not thinking about music. You know, they're thinking about other things, and your whole motivator in even having this club, and it's obviously you can tell by the writing on the wall literally that it's very motivated by music, which is a great thing, and I think that why wouldn't anybody want to support a business like this?
Cheers, my man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cheers, Evenflow.
And I love both your songs, and I know you're going to surprise me with the last one. So what do you got for us? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I really appreciated what you looked for this. I want to thank Maddie and Andrew for doing lighting, sound, mixing, all that stuff. Maddie says he's going to make a commercial for us pretty soon. Oh, I got to give a shout out. Keith Semple, everyone, if you're still listening, because me and Anthony went on some tangents there, so if you're still paying attention, maybe this should be the commercial, Andrew, Maddie. So Keith Semple is coming on Thursday. We're going to get Keith Semple. Keith Semple's awesome. He's a Semple band, and he's done a bunch of music in his life. He's a great dude, real smart guy that knows music as well, and he's played this a bunch of times. He actually was on The Voice, and he was really awesome on The Voice. So I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions about that because that'd be really fun to hear that. All right, my man Anthony Massaro, I love you, brother. Kill it. It's all yours, bro.
Okay, I gotta try to remember this one too. This one was also one I wrote in October for the same group of people, and it's kind of a catchier one, so I kind of like playing it, but I haven't played it since then, so now I gotta try to recall what I did there. Oh, shoot. I'm going to play this anyway. I don't even care if I botch it.
Who gives a fuck? Do it.
I don't want to fight. I just want to win every day of my life. And I don't care what other people wear, 'cause I ain't got time. Sure don't want to keep you down. In fact, I want to see you off the ground. But if you don't mind, I think I'll work on mine, 'cause I ain't got time. Life is good, but we only get one. So do others right like you want to be done, 'cause when it's done, it's done. You're left for someone, but you best do something. I think it's fair to be a little bad here and there. Try some shit out or have a little taste. When it's done, it's done. You better have fun. There ain't no time to be wasted. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be right. I just want peace in my life. And I want love, and I want it to be real, 'cause I ain't got time. I ain't got time. And this is the part where if there were an audience, I'd actually ask them to like join in, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, all right, I'm going to sing one part and you guys sing the other part. And they'd be like, cool. And I'd be like, I would sing, I ain't got time. And I would instruct them to say, for that shit. And I'd say, I ain't got time. And they would sing, for that shit. I ain't got time. For that shit. I ain't got time. Oh, for that shit. I ain't got time. For that shit. Ooh.
Dude, Anthony Massaro, everyone. Ain't got time for that shit, right?
Yeah, baby. Except now I got nothing but time.
Now you got nothing. You got nothing but time. Dude, this has been the literally the best. And we got time for that shit, dude. So much. Thank you so much. Love you, brother.
Thank you, man.
I hope you and your family and everybody stay super healthy. I hope everybody else out there, peace out. You know, be good to each other. Love, all that good stuff.
You too, man.
All right.
God bless.
All right, cut us. Love you guys. Be safe.